This is the Anaphil Interviews. I'm with Victoria Morris, animal behaviourist and trainer. Victoria, hello.
Hello, Anna.
Tell me about your role as a behaviourist and trainer.
As a behaviourist, I'm very much focusing on the behaviour of pets in homes and looking about how the environment is affecting that behaviour. Very much looking at how we can treat behavioural problems effectively. And as a trainer, really, I'm using particular types of tools, essentially a toolkit in terms of dealing with those types of issues that people are experiencing with their pets. So they're very two complementary roles, and for me, one really can't exist without the other. As a trainer, you need to have a very good knowledge of behaviour. You need to understand what an animal can physically do. You need to have a good basis with that. And also, as a behaviourist, the toolkit is really what enables you to help a client work through the types of issues that they're experiencing with their pets. So,
do you work just with dogs, or do you work with all types of animals?
I work with all types of animals, very frequently working with dogs at the moment, but I have very exciting plans to start kitten parties very soon. With
Kitten parties
with the vet that I work with, and I'm very, very open to getting more and more people to call me who have different types of pets. I love working with birds. I'm also able to work with behavioural problems with rabbits and all different types of pet species. So,
did I read correctly about that you have actually trained a fish?
You can train fish, and it's very, very. A lot of people forget about fish welfare, and it's very important that we interact with them as well.
Stimulation,
and also having the type of enrichment in place in terms of the fish tank, in terms of having like really nice currents that are running through the tank where you can put food into the currents, and you can really promote natural feeding behaviour. And also having different types of ornaments and things where the fish can hide in the tank. There are lots of different types of things that you can do in order to provide the fish stimulation, and also to provide some of the similar types of stimulus that they would encounter in a natural environment.
So for you, really, it's about understanding every single species that you work with, really.
Yeah, it's a very, very diverse job. And many professional behaviourists as well, when they come across an animal that they've perhaps not worked with, they'll of course do research before they start to work with that pet, and but of course applying the same types of training tools in order to achieve behaviour. But it's just very, very important that you're asking that animal to create behaviour, to perform behaviour that they're physically are able to perform. I remember one instance where a trainer was working with a seal, and she couldn't understand why the seal couldn't do a flipper stand, in other words, to put the back of the body up into the air. And really, what she was thinking, she was training a sea lion, but not a seal, and a seal doesn't have the ability to do that.
I see.
So it's quite important to really think about what the animal can do, and that you're asking it something within its physical capabilities.
Gosh, you are certainly so passionate about what you do. Did you have an affinity for animals from a young age?
I did, yeah. As a child, whenever we went on holiday, if there were animals in the vicinity, I was just gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So my parents were never really worried about me. They always knew that I was with an animal or something, and whenever we were away and there were animals there, I would just spend all day just watching them. And I also used to pester a lot of professionals, ask a lot of questions. What do I need to do this, and what would you advise me to do? And I was just completely fascinated and felt an affinity to them very, very early on. Yes.
Because you've also worked with dolphins, haven't you?
Yeah, I've worked with bottlenose dolphins. I worked with them in Spain. Also in the UK, I worked with Patagonian sea lions as well. And in addition to that, also harbour seals and various different types of macaws, the blue and gold macaw and also the scarlet macaw, also Amazon parrots as well. And pelicans. We often did like pelican feeds and things where the public would come down and we would talk about the pelicans. And so a wide range of species. Yeah.
This is absolutely fascinating, it really is. But also, coming back to your role as a trainer, is it also a case of you have to train the pet owner as well as the pets?
It's very, very important to do that, and there's an awful lot of human psychology involved when you're working with clients. Often if an animal is, or for example a pet is displaying unwanted behaviour, it can be very emotional for the owner. So it's very much providing the owner with the confidence and the encouragement to keep going and to start to work with the behavioural problem.
This helps to establish a bond as well.
Exactly. The progress of the pet is very much intertwined with that of the owner. The owner really needs to start to gain the confidence confidence. But it's very much intertwined, because as the pet starts to improve, the owner then starts to feel more comfortable, and as the pet starts to sense that new confidence, then the pet naturally improves as well. But it's very, very important to remember that, behavioural problems, they do take some time to work through, very much in the same way that when humans have issues as well, it takes some time to work through them. And
so an owner has to also learn to be very patient.
Very, very patient. Patience is a key. Patience and encouragement, and it should always be fun. It should always be fun when you're working with your pet. It shouldn't be
a chore.
It shouldn't be a chore.
No.
You should enjoy the interaction. And I love it when I'm working with my clients, for example, when they're working with a dog. When you're walking along and doing heel work, that dog should be looking up at you, having that eye contact with you, and really engaging on a walk. And it's all about developing that type of relationship. And most certainly, if you don't have that bond, it makes it very, very difficult to work through a behavioural problem. And it does take time, and it does take patience. But it's also very important to remember that with some good positive reinforcement, and just spending some time with your pet, that you can work through these issues.
It comes across loud and clear that having a pet comes with a great responsibility. So what would you say to owners who are thinking about having a pet?
I'd say really take time to consider the decision. Talk about it with family members. Make sure that they're very much happy to welcome the pet as well. It's very, very difficult often when you've got one member of the family that's very much into the pet being into the home and wanting to interact with the pet and do things, but other members are perhaps not so happy the pet is there. It's very, very important that the whole family are working as a unit with the pet, and also that way you're maintaining consistency. So, certainly consult the opinion of other members of the family.
And having a correct environment as well.
Having a correct environment, making sure that you can provide that pet what it needs in terms of time, dedication, exercise, and making sure that you have the capabilities to look after that pet as well. So think about that very.
Because cost as well.
Cost
of
as
course.
well. You're going to want to go and get your pet insurance. You're going to have to obviously work with your vet and provide veterinary care, regular wormings, flea treatments, this type of thing. So it's very important that you have that in mind as well. And also food as well. Being able to provide good quality food as well is very, very important. Certainly from a behavioural point of view, that has a prime effect on behaviour. So
it's certainly a learning curve as well, isn't it?
Definitely.
For both the pet and the owners to get used to each other.
Often what I do is go into environments before people welcome pets into their homes.
Whether
they're into the decision process and what type of pet should I choose, or perhaps they've already welcomed a puppy into the home. They're thinking about welcoming that puppy into the home, and they'd like some advice before the puppy comes into the home. And it very much helps because that person is able to prepare adequately for when the puppy arrives, and also they're very much in the knowledge of what they're going to need to provide in terms of that pet as well.
And I remember something you have said before. A trained dog is a happy dog.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Absolutely. You have to get that training in there. It's so important. Even if you think the dog is very, very perfect, still provide some training, provide that mental and physical stimulation. It's very, very important.
And both pet and owner find that very rewarding, don't
Absolutely. It's all about prevention of problems as well, and certainly when you're welcoming a pet, it's about getting it right just at the beginning, so you're preventing the problems as well.
Well, here's to Happy Pet Days.
Thank
Victoria
you.
Morris, thank you for talking to me today.
Thank you.